May God bless you all and give you the strength to fulfill your dreams. Thank you. When Coretta Scott King went to collect her husband's belongings after his assassination, she discovered 2 small pieces of paper tucked away in his coat pocket. For 23 days, she kept them secret. What Martin Luther King Jr. had written wasn't about civil rights or dreams, it was about war. When Coretta finally stood before 10,000 people in Central Park and read those words aloud, the crowd went silent. Even the White House called them dynamite. Coretta Scott King's story began long before that day. She was just 15 when her family's home in Marion, Alabama, was burned down in 1942. Her father had built the house himself, proud of the lumber mill he had opened nearby. Some white men in the community resented his success, and one night they set the house on fire while the family slept. No one was arrested. That was what justice looked like in Perry County back then. Coretta never forgot that night or the lesson it taught her, that success for a black family could be dangerous, but giving up would be worse. Her father rebuilt the home and the business, showing her what determination and dignity looked like in the face of hate. Life had never been easy for the Scott family. During the Great Depression, Coretta picked cotton before sunrise, earning just 75 cents a day. She was only 10 but managed to collect 100 pounds of cotton daily. Her family was struggling to hold on to their 28-acre farm. After hours in the fields, she and her siblings walked 5 miles to school on dusty backroads, watching white children ride past in shiny new buses. Later, when she attended high school, she had to walk 9 miles each way because the white school was closer, and the black students weren't allowed to attend. Those years taught her endurance. She said later that the cotton rows toughened her hands and her spirit more than any protest ever could. At 18, she graduated as valedictorian of Lincoln Normal School and delivered a bold speech calling for equal treatment of all people. Some white attendees were shocked. That same year, she helped start a local NAACP youth chapter and led a protest against a whites-only science lab. When warned she could lose her scholarship, she replied that a diploma earned in silence wasn't worth much. Her father's example of persistence inspired her. Despite harassment and loss, his sawmill burned, his lumber stolen at gunpoint, he kept rebuilding, teaching her that ownership and independence were forms of power. Years later, when she encouraged Martin to focus on jobs and housing in Chicago, she remembered those early lessons, telling him, "You can't march on an empty stomach." In 1945, Coretta went north to Antioch College in Ohio. She hoped to escape segregation, but even there, racism persisted. When she applied to teach in the local public school, she was rejected because parents didn't want a black teacher. She refused to accept a position at a segregated school 10 miles away, and instead wrote to the college president, saying such policies made America a hypocrite. Alongside her studies, she practiced music for hours each day, believing that discipline in art and discipline in protest came from the same place. At Antioch, she joined the Race Relations Committee and organized interracial events during Brotherhood Week, including a sit-in at a local theater that had refused to admit black students. The protest drew 75 people and forced the theater to shut down temporarily. Her activism earned her the nickname, "the girl who sings and agitates." She refused to stop. By her second year, she was helping lead the campus NAACP and working on Henry Wallace's presidential campaign, one of the first major candidates to speak out strongly for civil rights. In 1951, she won a full scholarship to the New England Conservatory of Music in Boston and moved there with only $36 in her pocket. She worked mornings at a hotel, practiced late into the night, and sent money home to her family each month. Her music wasn't just a passion, it was a tool for change. She joined the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, protested nuclear testing, and once chained herself to a flagpole during a demonstration, singing "We Shall Not Be Moved," until police cut the chain and arrested her. In January 1952, her dorm room phone rang. A friend had given her number to a young preacher named Martin Luther King Jr. At first, she was hesitant to date a minister, but their first conversation lasted for hours, full of talk about Gandhi, justice, and faith. 2 weeks later, Martin told his mother he had met the woman he would marry. Coretta was cautious. She wanted to make sure her career and voice would not be overshadowed. When they married in June 1953, she removed the word obey from her vows, a radical act for the time. Their early years together were difficult. They lived in a small Boston apartment where her piano doubled as their dining table. When money was tight, she sold her silver flute to pay bills. Despite constant rejections from concert halls unwilling to feature a black soprano, she continued to sing and teach. Their first child, Yolanda, was born in 1955, just as the Montgomery bus boycott began. Threats poured in daily, and one night a bomb exploded on their porch, shattering windows and scattering glass across the baby's crib. Miraculously, no one was hurt. Coretta stayed calm, urging others not to be afraid. She organized benefit concerts that raised money for the movement. The pressures on their family grew. The FBI, under J. Edgar Hoover, labeled Martin the most dangerous Negro in America, and tapped their phones, even listening to Coretta's calls about groceries and baby formula. Their home was bugged, and every night Martin checked closets for hidden intruders. Coretta urged him to keep a gun for protection, but he refused. As the years went on, the threats, arrests, and strain deepened. When Martin was imprisoned in Georgia during the 1960 election, Coretta, pregnant and terrified, pleaded for help until John F. Kennedy personally called her. His intervention led to Martin's release and shifted public support in the election. In 1964, Martin received the Nobel Peace Prize. Just weeks earlier, the FBI had mailed an anonymous letter urging him to end his own life, along with recordings meant to destroy his reputation. Coretta burned the letter but kept the tape, never listening to it. She believed no threat could undo their cause. Even when the FBI tried to use edited tapes to humiliate them, she faced it with dignity and refused to be intimidated. She also encouraged Martin to speak out against the Vietnam War. On April 4, 1967, he delivered his Beyond Vietnam speech, calling the United States the greatest purveyor of violence in the world. Many condemned him for it, but Coretta stood proudly in the audience. A year later to the day, he was shot and killed in Memphis. When she received the news, Coretta gathered her strength and 3 days later, led a silent march of more than 40,000 people through the city. She settled the sanitation workers' strike Martin had come to support, proving that his dream would not die with him.